looks like. So I'll just kind of throw it to you to see what you think we should be doing with that pick.
Yeah, no. So this is the On Rank Podcast Mock Draft 1.0. We're so, but no, I'll say I'm just gonna rattle them off. And this is honestly what I think after doing a good amount of research over the weekend, watching tape, just highlight tapes, reading through some stats, seeing what when they played some of the better teams if they stood up to the test. And so number one, I'm going Keegan Murray. A few things about him that I thought were stood out to me is he is the first player since Kevin Durant to have 800 points, at least 800 points, 60 blocks and 63s in the same season.
Wow. Yeah.
So that shows a little bit of all around. He's 60 blocks is hovering just under 2 a game, and 63s is hovering just under 2 a game as well. 800 points is putting him at 23 a game. So, and that's through the brunt of the Big Ten.
League that you'd be lucky to have your team have 25 by halftime. So
right, yeah. So I mean, if you read through Iowa's games, it's the snapshot shows the leading scorer. He was literally the leading scorer in the 20s every night, and so in order for him to put up 23 a game, that's a lot of games where he's hovering in the low 30s, 31, 32, 33. I was very impressed to see that on there.
Yeah.
And the next, I'm going Jaden Ivey, also a Big Ten guy. I think about him is just explosiveness. And that paired with Cade, I think is very interesting. So that's the key to that is what would that look like? Just having a phenomenal backcourt. Some say that might be given up on Killian Hayes. Others say Killian Hayes looks great off the bench, and so maybe that should be more of his role. And if he flourishes, he's good trade bait. He's young. I'm not mad at that. That I don't think that'd be stepping on any toes there.
Okay.
Last is a guy I first heard when you mentioned it. That'd be Benedict Matherin. Thing about him that really stood out to me was obviously he's freakish athletic. He's a guy that I would have, I didn't really know about him. I watched him a few times in a tournament as a shout out that you gave, and but his highlight tape was probably the most impressive. I mean, the thing looks like an and one tape. The dude is, he has bunnies for real. And another thing about him that stood out to me was if you look at threes made, he has more threes than everybody I just named. He has 88 threes made this season, shooting 37%. So that was very impressive. I mean, 30 or 88 threes. That means you're at a 37% clip. That's solid. So that's just over like 2.5 a game. So that's impressive. So those would be my big three. And the one thing I'll say, and I'll throw it to you here. The one thing I'll say, Shaden Sharp. I mean, I'm trying to watch some highlight tapes, but I just feel funny watching highlight tapes from, some AAU camp, in the suburb of Toronto.
Just don't know.
Yeah, it just seems crazy. When I'm sitting here watching Keegan Murray play Purdue, and it's a two, top 5 matchup.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. So I just think that's kind of where I'm going with that. And the one thing I would say, so I know I'm talking long on it, but one thing I will say about this is Amani Bates as a local Michigan guy, local Michigan kid, and he was the number 2 high school player to Chet Holmgren. And I imagine if he wouldn't have played this year, he would be a top 5 projected pick. But because he played, he has to more than likely come back to college, or he has to. So that makes me wonder if we've seen this guy here, would we have blown us away, or would it be we need more to see? How often are the top 5 players in high school always transitioning to the top 5 picks in the draft the next year? Not always. There's not a direct relation to that. So
right. Yeah, no, that's a good call. And I just think, man, like, I don't know. People might not agree with me. This might be cold take, whatever, hot take, however you look at your takes. But sometimes sliding, man, it's not always a bad thing. Like, I feel like, we know how it works, right? Those top 2, top 3 picks. I think this year they're pretty, like, put together players and pretty good like all around game and very like established as far as just like what they can do. But I mean, sometimes you are picking top three here and there. You can kind of run into a project or somebody not being able to shoot as well, or just like might have like a pretty big hole in their game. And off the top of the head, I don't really know like who Murray's or Matherin's what hole in their games are. At least as of today. But I do know they can score the basketball. They're scoring the basketball at a very high clip in college. To where you look at sometimes the freshmen that end up coming out, they end up being rated a little bit higher. They might not, they might just be more picked up on for their, athleticism or just like, like as far as just like, being like 6'9", 6'10", like wings, I can just do like multiple things or just, what I'm saying, very like versatile in that sense. So I guess to just kind of might not even be that a hot take or a cold take, but I just feel like, I would not be mad if we ended up with Keegan Murray just falling into our lap, or an Ivy or a Mather that got, a couple years under their belt and actually, have worked on being able to score the basketball at a high clip. Good problem to have. I've said it, a couple of mock drafts we did, or just a couple episodes we had prior. I think we're just in a good situation where we're not going, obviously who knows what could happen, but I think we can get one of those three guys and definitely be in good shape. So
I second that. Let's just, it's not necessarily the time to gamble.
Right.
I think we go with something like I said last time around, which is the best available player. We need somebody that we know will be a solid NBA guy.
Yeah.
And would it suck to pass on him and then in 2 or 3 years he's Ja Morant? It would. But I think it would be that much worse to take him and then he's nothing.
Right.
So
we're in a spot where it's like, we already, people didn't like Killian. We had Seiko, Dumbayu, didn't really do anything. I can go down the line of all the last few draft picks we have. I just don't think we really have the luxury of trying to get a guy that didn't even play at Kentucky. It's very, he's got a crazy vertical, and I've heard, just like the athleticism and everything, but I just don't think we can afford to just try to take a wild card like that. And I, like you said, if we got Keegan Murray and he was just like, the next Paul Pierce or something, and like, and Sharp was the next Ja Morant, like it. I just think that where we're at with things now, it's just safe pick. Get the guy who won a Big Ten championship, or get the guy who won a Pac-12 championship. Get the guys that played in the Power Five conference at a high level and keep it pushing. And we'll count our losses if it doesn't work out with one of them guys. So, which I think they'll be fine.
Yes. So I know, one way to build the team would be through the draft. That's more sure way. More of you control your destiny. It's on you to who you pick. Another way would be through free agency.
Yeah.
Pistons in there with a pretty clear book. That's exciting to see when you look through there. So I know you targeted a couple players that regardless of the draft, I think will be beneficial to have on the team. They're good players. So who are some of the players that you are looking at that potentially we could pick up in free agency?
All right. So how I kind of did this. So first I looked at like our weaknesses. My weaknesses are Pistons weaknesses. And I feel like the two biggest weaknesses with the team was just like shooting and perimeter defense. I feel like those are the biggest issues that needed to be addressed come free agency or in the draft. So I have like three sections here. So I have kind of like two guys I just like, or three guys I really, really think would be a good fit. And then I'm kind of go into like, other people that I think would be good fillers as far as like role players or just, rotational guys. So my three I think would be like a perfect fit beside Cade would be Jalen Brunson. We talked about him quite a bit. I do like, what I see as far as him kind of sitting next to Luka because he's already sitting, we see how he is next to Luka. I think that Cade is a similar player to Luka, and I think that would be a good puzzle piece. A guy that can get his own shot, slasher, just great on offense. Only thing I do kind of worry about with him is his size. He's only like 6'2" or 6'3", playing like a two guard. That could be a problem as far as defense, but I do think he'd give him like a solid scoring punch and solid score, like just overall. Second guy that I think would be a good fit. He is kind of similar to Brunson. It'd be Colin Sexton. I like his game. I like just scoring guard, off ball type guy. Because what like I said, even prior, I kind of envision Detroit kind of being like a Dallas or like a New Orleans. You got that point guard that does it all. Then you kind of bring like guys that are kind of like more score first mentality and kind of put them around him and just let him feed and kind of just let them drive and shoot and just kind of they just kind of come at you in waves. So I think Sexton would fit right in next to Cade. He can play point guard. Like he can play off ball as well. And then the other individual that I think would be a perfect fit, I know this one most likely won't happen, but Zach LaVine. Um, I've already heard that he's not really loving trying to play beside DeRozan. Their games are quite similar, so I can definitely see why that might be something that might be a little bit of an issue. Um, Heard him, maybe like a sign and trade with the Lakers. I mean, we always hear the Lakers are always going to be in the running to grab somebody in some way or some capacity. But I do think that once again, just like a athletic slasher, can shoot the three. I think that'd be like him and Cade and Bay. I mean, I think that could be a very solid trio for a long time. And just kind of run through just who I think are as far as like rotational players or people with like just good pieces that we could just potentially look at. So I'll just go through the shooters really quick. Brent Forbes, Ben McLemore, Malik Monk, and Gary Harris. And these guys have all made their money being spot up shooters, hitting the open three. I think the Pistons really need to prioritize getting one or two shooters, around Cade, replacing some more, some of those guys we have on our team now that are more just like, like defense first or just, athletic guys that are still trying to kind of find their own and, figure out their games. Our team is pretty young overall. So I think if they're able to bring in, some shooters, and those are some examples, some people that I think would, fit that mold. And they also been in the league for a little bit too. So I think that'd be a good veteran presence to bring to the locker room. I think that would help us out immensely. And then to go to the forwards, some of the guys that I, look at as far as potential fits. So you got Otto Porter Jr. playing right now for the Warriors. I just, big wing, can play defense, can hit the open three. Veteran presence, I think that's something to definitely keep in mind. Any of the Morris twins, they like to clang and bang. I'm all for that. Still hate that we even got rid of Marcus Morris when he was playing for the Pistons a few years back. And then this one might have you chuckle a little bit, but Kyle Anderson, that was playing for the Spurs and playing for Memphis, call him Slow Mo. I just like he's versatile. He can come off the bench, play point, plays defense, glue guy. Like I look at him as somebody that's gonna he's one of those guys. He's gonna come in and he's not gonna make your team bad. Like he's gonna help your team in some way, shape, or form. And then the last guy would be Bruce Brown, former Piston. We shipped him off. He's one of them picks that we let get away. Named like 4 or 5 of them that we've let that happen to. Just love how he's able to play, in that and play with Brooklyn in the way that he did, and adapted. It can be easy, being like the 8th or 9th option on a team full of superstars. And I think he played that role to a T. So, wouldn't mind if they knocked on his door and tried to bring him back. But yeah, so these guys are just people that, I feel like would be solid fits. Hopefully we can snag, 1 or 2 of them. And I think if we can get, like I said, more shooting, and more just like perimeter defense, for the Pistons, I think we'll be in a good spot come next season.
Yeah. So just to highlight what you said, the 3 guys that are really stood out to me from that list would be Brent Forbes, a local kid, local man from Lansing, more or less playing in Detroit's backyard. So I think I love that idea. He's a champion. He gets freakishly hot from time to time. Yeah. So I really would like that somebody cut from that ilk on the squad. I'm not mad about that at all. Ben McLemore, a guy, just another sharpshooter. And then Bruce Brown. I like you said, hated to get rid of him, but he's more or less came to his own. He's not the same player that we got rid of, but he more or less came to his own. And like you said, all 3 of these guys, Ben especially him, would be more 3-and-D. So that kind of take care of both sides of the ball, like you said. And that's really, I think, what we're looking for. And the other two guys, I'm not mad at if we went out and got. I don't want to max out anybody. I want to keep them books pretty damn clean. And anybody that we give any amount of money to, I would purposely time it out to whenever we got to pay Cade. That's when that contract ends.
3-year deal, no more than that.
I've said it before, but I think whenever Cade comes up, we have to structure the books where we have enough for 2 max. We can get Cade, and then you can go get whoever else you want. You know, that's got to be how we need to plan this out long term, because that's, you see that Luka's making a run, or John Morant making a run, or Trae Young even a year or two ago. But realistically, all three of those guys and Cade as well are going to compete for championships 3, 4, 5 years from now. And so the decisions we make now could really affect that. Not to just single him out. I don't want to go get a Zach LaVine on a $190 million deal, and then in 4 years we're like, God damn, we got to pay this man $40 million, and he, his knee's been shot for 2.5 seasons. I don't. That's the type of thing I wanted to avoid. So I think keep him young, keep him contracts young, and more of that ilk. And I think we'll just be an exciting team, and then we can kind of pick, okay, this is the squad, and Brent Forbes is staying with it, so we can go ahead and sign him a long-term deal. He really worked out. And then we begin to form around that. And side note, I think nobody's talking about, we already had a major free agent signing this year, and that's locking up Bagley. So we've seen how well that worked for the post-All-Star break. And it was fun to watch, so I think he was a bit rejuvenated, and it's exciting to see him. He was a top 5 pick when 3, 4, 5 years ago. So
recently.
So that's exciting to see as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and I could definitely, Zach LaVine, that'd be more just like if that were to happen, it'd be like, I'd be excited about it just because, we had like an all-star put by Cade and just see how it works. But there is the money factor to where it's like, what are you going to try to pay him? And I think even too, looking a little closer at like Brunson and Sexton, especially Brunson. Brunson daddy came out and said like, ain't no discount now. So it's going to be interesting to see what he.
Oh, and I was going to say, my fault. And I know we got like less than a minute here, but side note on Brunson, the only other guard I've seen back down somebody as much, it would be Chauncey Billups. Remember when he used to do that just to get the point guard in foul trouble? He's the only other guard I've seen do that consistently. Like 4 times a game, he's putting you on his ass and backing down.
Lives in the paint.
Like in the driveway. I do so. Somebody like him or Colin Sexton, I wouldn't be mad at. As mad, especially Colin Sexton, because I think that's.
I like him a lot.
I know, just to rattle off, but we can throw him, and then let's say you throw in, Keegan Murray.
Yeah,
that's a squad.
Brent off the bench, and like I said, trying to get a couple of shooters here and there, and just more.
Hey, 6 seed.
Yeah, get like a bully in there or something. You know what I'm saying? Just
what's first say? First seed.
Right
in the whole league.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, and I think we'll see. Obviously, a lot of this free agency stuff kind of depends on what happens in the draft. I wish that the free agency happened before the draft, like the NFL does. I think that'd be a lot more helpful for us to kind of be able to get solidified players. But I trust Weaver, so we'll see what happens. Grant most likely going to be on the move in some capacity, and I know that'll kind of shake some stuff up too. But that was all I had on my end. You got anything?
That's all. We'll be back at you soon.
Till next time.